Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Copenhaver back with your next second grade lesson from Compass Mark. I hope you guys are all doing well. Some of you, maybe your school year's done. Others, maybe you have a little bit longer to go. But hopefully, you'll still keep listening to your Compass Mark lessons. That said, so to start today's lesson, I want to remind you what the last lesson was about. Our last lesson that you would have received by video was about a very special, very important skill we all need to have, and that's being good listeners. And in that lesson, you would have learned that there are two important things that you need to do to really be a good and skillful listener. The first is you need to give your attention. That's right, giving your attention. And that's where we said when we give our attention, we're looking at the speaker and listening to what they have to say, right? So we're looking, we stop everything we're doing, and we listen to what the person has to say. Now, the second thing we said we do is we say something back, or we respond to what the speaker was saying. So maybe we ask them a question about what they said. Or perhaps we make a comment and say, "Oh, I really like that too. I saw that movie, before and I really enjoyed it." So we make a comment about something they said. Or maybe we raise our hands and we answer a question because maybe the speaker was our teacher who was teaching us something and asked the class a question. So when we say something back then, we're answering a question. So there's lots of different ways that we can say something back, but those are the keys. We give our attention to the speaker, to the person who's talking, and then we say something back. We respond to what they're talking about. Now, today, we're going to build on that skill of listening. We're going to talk about listen, share, and play fair. That's right. 3 very important things that we need to be able to do if we're going to have happy, healthy friendships and relationships with our family. We need to be able to listen to others around us because that shows that we care about what they have to say and we care about them. We need to share, so share things with each other. So we'll talk about that a little more on our poster back here. And we need to play fair. So I'd like to start off before we talk about our poster and look at a little more back here. I would like to read a story, a Dr. Seuss story, which some of you or most of you may have heard before, but I think it's a great story when we're talking about listen, share, and play fair. It's a story called The Sneetches. We're not going to read the other stories in the book because this has a couple stories. We're going to read the story, The Sneetches, okay? And then we're going to talk about how that story relates to listen, share, and play fair. So here we go, The Sneetches. Now, the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain-belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big. They were really so small, you might think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. Here we go. So you have a plain belly Sneetch and a star belly Sneetch. But because they had stars, all the star belly Sneetches would brag we're the best kind of Sneetches on the beaches. With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. We'll have nothing to do with the plain belly sort. And whenever they met some, when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. When the star-belly children went out to play ball, could a plain belly get in the game? not at all. You only could play if your bellies had stars, and the plain-bellied children had none upon ours. Uh-oh. How do you think those plain-belly Sneetch children feel? Probably left out, huh? Is that fair? Are they playing fair? Oh. When the star-belly Sneetches had Frankfurter roasts, or picnics or parties or marshmallow toasts, they never invited the plain-belly Sneetches. They left them out cold in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Here we go. They're not being very kind to one another, are they? Then one day, it seems, while the plain-belly Sneetches were moping and doping alone on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced in a voice clear and keen, "my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles. I've heard you're unhappy. But I can fix that. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need, and my prices are low, and I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed. I wonder what Sylvester McMonkey McBean is going to do." Then quickly Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine. And he said, "You want stars like a star-belly Sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard." So they clambered inside, then the big machine roared, and it clonked and it bonked and it jerked and it burked, and it bopped them about. But the thing really worked. Then the plain-belly Sneetches popped out. They had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. Go. Well, what do you think about that? Now they have stars on their bellies, huh? Do you think that they'll be treated fair and the others will share with them now? Well, let's find out. Then they yelled at the ones who has stars at the start. "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same now, you snooty old smarties. And now we can go to your Frankfurter parties." "Good grief," groaned the ones who had stars at the first. "We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now, how in the world will we know," they all frowned, "if which kind is what, or the other way round?" Uh-oh. So it sounds like the star-belly Sneetches still don't like the other Sneetches, even though they have stars on their bellies now. It doesn't sound like they want to be fair with them yet. Then up came McBean with a very sly wink, and he said, "Things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who? This is perfectly true. But come with me, friends. Do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches, and all it will cost you is $10 eaches." What do you think he's going to do to them? Well, let's find out. "Belly stars are no longer in style," said McBean. "What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars, so you won't look like Sneetches who have them on theirs." And that handy machine worked very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Look at that. Now the other star-belly Sneetches, they don't want stars on their bellies now. Then, with snoots in the air, they paraded about, and they opened their beaks, and they let out a shout. We know who is who. Now, there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without." Then, of course, those with stars all got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Then, of course, Old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guessed, things really got into a horrible mess. Here we go. All the rest of that day on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-it-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machines they raced round and about again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money, they kept running through, until neither the plane nor the star bellies knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Uh-oh. So now they just don't know anymore. Then, when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-it-up chappie packed up and he went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They never will learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch. Uh-oh. Do you think Sylvester McMonkey McBean was being fair? I don't think he was playing fair either. I think he was tricking the Sneetches, wasn't he? Just so he could get their money. But McBean was quite wrong. I'm quite happy to say that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches, and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars and whether they had one or not upon theirs. Go. And that was it. So I want you to think about the story I just read. Sometimes it might be hard to be fair, to play fair, or to share with others. Sometimes people won't share with each other because maybe they don't know the person. Maybe it's somebody that's different from them. In our story here, they were all Sneetches, weren't they? They just looked a little different because some had stars on their bellies and some didn't. But because of that, they weren't listening to each other. They weren't sharing with each other. And they weren't playing fair, huh? They wouldn't let each other join in games or join in parties that they had. So they couldn't be friends with each other, huh? When you don't listen and you don't share and you don't play fair, it's hard to make friends, isn't it? So listen, share, and play fair are super important skills to have. So let's turn around here and look at our poster, our next one that we have. Okay, at the top of it, it says, listen, share, and play fair. Okay, now the first that we have up here is a reminder of our listening skills that we talked about in our last lesson, which I just reviewed at the beginning of this one. Listen means we're going to give our attention. See how closely he's paying attention? He's sitting quietly. He's listening to her as she speaks. So he's giving his attention. And when she's done speaking, what do you think he's going to do? Well, that's right. The second thing that it says up here, he's going to say something back. So depending upon what she's talking about, he may ask a question for more information. He might make a comment and say how interesting what she was talking about sounded. He might answer a question that she asks him. Either way, as long as he's giving his attention and listening to what she's saying, he'll be able to say something back that shows he was paying attention. All right, so that's our first thing, our listen piece. Now our second thing is share. What do you see on my poster up here? that I put beside the word share? Well, we can see a box of crayons, a cup that has pencils and markers in it. Over here are different kinds of toys. So maybe a Chutes and Ladders board game, a beach ball, a football, a baseball and bat, a toy dinosaur, a teddy bear. All different kinds of toys. Are those all types of things that we might share with friends and family? Yes, they are, aren't they? They're types of things that we can share. Think about when you're in school and you're in class together. Are there times where perhaps your pencil broke, or maybe you're supposed to be coloring with crayons and you have to color a circle red, but you don't have a red crayon? Could you ask a friend if you could borrow theirs when they're done? Well, sure you could. And if you ask politely, then your friend may share, correct? Or are there times where a friend has asked you and you've shared? So we may share crayons and pencils. We may share our toys or books even with our friends. But there's another special thing about share, something that we don't always think of when we think of the word share and things that we need to do with our friends and others. And that is taking turns. Taking turns is a way that we share. So in a game, we take turns, right? Let's think if we're on the playground and let's say there's a swing set, but there's only 3 swings and there's 6 children. Can you all swing on the swings at the same time? No, you need to share, correct? You need to share and by taking turns. How about on a slide? Can everybody go down the slide at the same time? No, you can't. You have to take turns. So when we play games, when we slide on the slides, when we swing on the swings, they're all different things that we need to take turns to do. Sometimes at home, you may even need to take turns with things like playing video games. Maybe you have brothers and sisters and you only have 2 controllers and maybe there's 3 or 4 of you. So you have to share and take turns. So sharing is another really important skill to have to be able to get along well and work well with others. It helps us have happy and healthy friendships and relationships with our family. Now, our last one here, it says Playfair. We see 2 friends over here on 2 different teams. They're playing basketball, aren't they? They both look pretty happy as they're playing. Okay. Now, when we're playing a game, or we're playing with toys and things that we need to share, it's important to be fair or to play fair. Now, the biggest piece of playing fair is that we all play by the rules. Playing by the rules. Sports, games, they have rules, don't they? And if we don't play by the rules, do you know what we call that? When we don't play by the rules? We call that cheating, don't we? Does it feel good when you're playing a game and someone else cheats? No, it doesn't feel very good, does it? It can be a little frustrating, huh? And sometimes it can make you sad because you know that the other person wasn't playing fair. So, playing fair is a way that we can make playing a game with each other fun. Think about the different games that you like to play. Now, up here, I showed you basketball. Well, and you can see there's a football and there's baseball. What are some other games? Whether it's sports or board games, we have chutes and ladders on here. Can you think of some other games that you might like to play? Well, let's see. Maybe soccer or volleyball. Maybe you like to play Candyland, or maybe you like to play Uno, Go Fish. Maybe you like to play video games. There might be lots of different things that you like to play, but what makes those games so much fun? Well, when you get to play with your friends and you each play fair and you share and take turns. If the other person's not playing fair and they're not sharing and they're not taking turns, it stops being fun, doesn't it? Okay, so think about it. Let's take basketball for an example, or soccer. Is it just one person that's playing the game? No, it's not, is it? It's a team. And if one person hogs the ball, that means they keep the ball to themselves all the time because they think, "Oh, I'm the best player. I can shoot a basket. I'll get the most points." Or I'm the best soccer player. I'm going to keep the ball and I'm going to make it down the field and I'm going to score a goal. But does that make it fun for the rest of the team if that one person takes the ball and keeps it all the time? No, it doesn't. So then sometimes people might stop playing because it's not fun for them anymore. So that's why it's really important to remember these 3 simple things. Listen, share, and play fair. Listen is also important because we want to be able to talk with our friends when we want to do something fun. We want to listen to what they have to say. Are they inviting us to play a game? Are they asking us if we can share something with them? We want to make sure that we're paying attention to what they like to do as well, so that we can share in deciding what we're going to do. Did you see what I did there? We can share in making our decisions as well, can't we? Between now and our next lesson, I want you to be thinking about these 3 things. Now, you already learned about listen, so this should help you remember even better the things you need to do to be a good listener. You're going to give your attention, and then you're going to say something back. You're going to respond. That's what we call that. Responding to what the speaker is saying, the person who's talking. That's the speaker. And then I want you to focus on ways that you can share with your family at home, and ways that you can ask politely if you need someone to share something with you. Now, the most challenging one is number 3. Between now and your next lesson, I'm certain that you're going to be playing some games. I can't imagine that you would go between now and your next video and not play any games at all. So when you're playing your games with your family and your friends, I want you to think about, how can I share and play fair while I'm playing this game? Think about what the rules are and make sure you follow those rules so that the game can be fun for you and it can be fun for others too. Now, I hope that you've learned something new in today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed our story about the Sneetches and how they learned their lesson as well. And I will look forward to seeing you guys for our next lunch lesson from Compass Mark. But until then, Enjoy playing your games and make sure that you listen, share, and play fair. Thanks a lot, boys and girls. I'll see you later.